And we are live. Beautiful humans going. Hold on. Let me stop us before we even start. I gotta go ahead and tweet this link out. Bada bing, bada boom. I don't want to say we're live until we're like right, fully, boom. Posting it to my Facebook. And now I can get on with the show. Hey, thanks for joining me for this little live streaming vlog. If you're watching this after the fact, and you most undoubtedly are, thanks for finding my YouTube channel through various means. I was checking out my analytics today, and 85% of my viewers are male. So what up, guys? How you doing? For the couple ladies out there, it's 2 for 1. Bring a friend, because the ratio from
and we are live.
Whoa, oh my goodness!
Humans.
Oh, this has never happened to me before.
Let me stop us before we even start. I gotta go ahead and tweet this link out. Bada bing, bada boom. I don't want to say we're live until we're like right.
It's kind of weird hearing myself.
Boom. Posting it to my Facebook. And
So, okay, lesson number 1. If you're doing a YouTube live event, don't have the URL open in a window, because it'll start echoing yourself back. I got to see how I was like, oh my gosh, my hair looks crazy. Anyway, I totally lost my stream, my train of thought. Yeah, anyway, hey guys, I'm drinking coffee. It's about noon PST Tuesday afternoon, Travel Tuesday, hashtag Travel Tuesday, because I'm a travel type of guy and it's Tuesday. Right, so what is it that we all dream about? What is the one thing that across the board, like all people, if you ask them, if you could do anything, if you could have any power, what would it be? What is the one thing that when you go lucid in your dreams that you almost do instinctually, automatically? What's the one thing, when you can control your dreams, what's the first thing you do? No, not that. Okay, what's the second thing you do? Fly. You fly. You take off. You leave your terrestrial constraints behind and you blast off. I actually had a lucid dream a couple months ago, about a month and a half ago, and I was able to fly in that dream, and that impression is just like stuck with me for weeks, that feeling of your feet lifting off the ground and flying. So you can only imagine. So humans have been fantasizing about flying basically forever. It's like this universal desire. Enter the drone. Now, the ability to fly kind of came into my existence, to actually fly. Now, my body's not leaving the ground, but I'm going to get to that. Came in to my life about 2 years ago when I purchased my first drone, my first quadcopter. Drone, I use the word drone because it's kind of the accepted term. It kind of has, I don't want to say a negative connotation, but it you know what I'm talking about when I say drone. At first, drone specifically kind of conjured up airstrikes, and maybe it does. That's still an element of what a drone is. It's a very militaristic word, but it also is kind of the public lexicon, the commonly used word for what I fly, which is these little lightweight four rotor helicopters, RC helicopters. But people call them drones, so that's the word I'm using, because I want people to search for it and click on it and discuss it. And really, you got to use the words that people use. So that's what I'm using. We can also call it a quadcopter. I have a Phantom. Now, I have the Generation 1 Phantom. They've since come out with Phantom Vision, Vision 2, Vision 2 Plus. So I definitely have one of the older versions of one of the most popular lines of consumer quadcopters, or you can call them UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles. I still have the old school Phantom. I'm still rocking this thing. It has scuffs, beat up. It's survived or not survived multiple crashes. We'll get to the current state of my Phantom right now in a few moments. But it was when I started flying my drone. It was when I first bought the Phantom and I took it out to the field near my house. And that was the first time I really experienced flying. Now, I had been skydiving before. I've flown on jets, all these things. You know, I've had all these amazing flight experiences. Personally, I love sitting in the window seat. I love looking out, watching, you know, being at 35,000 feet, flying in the sky. I'm a professional travel media creator. I fly all the time. I never get sick of the view. I never get that sick of that feeling of flying. I love it. But flying this little robot, this little machine through the air, left, right, up, down, you can spin it, you can fly it around, go 900 feet away, up to 30 miles an hour. It's like having a little jet ski up in the sky that you can control. It's so much fun. But the element of putting a camera on it, putting a GoPro on it, and recording the footage of seeing, you know, what's it look like when you swoop over the tree and reveal the vista and reveal the skyline and you see the curvature of the earth. What's that feel like? And that whole other element of recording the flight adds a really magical, for me, a really magical experience. So there's the one experience of flying the drone, of actually piloting it in the moment, and then there's the second experience of going back and watching my footage and editing a video, kind of putting it to music, creating an experience for viewers that I love. I love both experiences, but I love the experience of seeing what I captured even more than the experience of flying it in the moment, because seeing what I captured, I can really, you know, to me, it really feels like flying. I can put it on full screen and I can kind of project my consciousness there. And then when I'm flying it in the moment, it is fun, and it is really fun to, you know, I don't have a FPV system. A lot of people use the screens. A lot of people have secondary camera systems that show them. I don't have any of that. I basically, if I can see the drone and that's it. I can see my controller, I can see the drone, and I have to kind of imagine what I'm shooting and imagine what it's going to look like. I don't have the benefit of a monitor to tell me exactly what it looks like. So there's the active imagination while I'm flying as well, imagining what I'm capturing. But going back and looking at that footage and creating an experience for viewers was really a game changer for me in creating travel media and creating online media in general. But being able to offer people the perspective of flight, the perspective of the birds, of the clouds, of the vistas, of the mountains, I think it's something really, really special, and I enjoy it quite a bit. So today's talk is all about drones, my love for drones. We're going to answer some drone questions that I commonly get, that I wrote down and I totally put somewhere not here. Yeah, never mind. So yeah, first things first, I had a bit of a scuffle with the LA River several days ago, and this is the current condition of my Phantom. Pretty sad looking. It's not as bad as it looks. I've taken all the screws out and I took the top off to dry it out. The LA River, LA has a river, and it's called the LA River, and I was flying near it around dusk, and I really didn't have a good feeling about the flight as it was. I was rushing to catch the light. I just felt really hurried. I parked really far away from where I wanted to fly. I was just feeling hurried. And the lesson I've learned before is if it doesn't feel right to fly, if it doesn't feel right to fly the drone, don't do it. If you're feeling hurried, if you're feeling rushed, if the conditions aren't good, don't just put it up in the air because, damn it, you went all this way, so you might as well do it. Don't do that, because that's what I did. I went down to the LA River and I said, damn it, I really want to shoot this because it's actually really cool down there. There's lots of birds. There's all these trees that grow up in the middle of the river, and there's this trickle of there's this water. And where I was flying, it was just a trickle. On the other side of this big kind of grove of trees and whatnot, it wasn't a trickle. So anyway, I'm flying and I'm hovering below these branches, and I'm getting this nice low shot of the river, and it's several, it's maybe 150 feet away from me, and I just misjudged. I feel like I was hurried. My mind wasn't in the right condition to be flying, and I misjudged the altitude, or I didn't see this one little branch sticking down that got caught up in my rotors and sent this thing crashing down, really hit the deck in the river pretty hard. I had my gimbal on it. The GoPro was running. Unfortunately, the file didn't record, so I don't even get the pleasure of watching the crash back and posting that to YouTube because people like to watch that. But I was sitting there, you know, sitting in about 4 inches of water, really struggling, looked like a down, you know, bird that somebody shot out of the sky, is flapping all around. So I turn it off, and, you know, half of it's wet. I try to power, the GoPro won't power on, the gimbal's freaking out, and two of the rotors won't spin. And so it's like, wow, this is bad. I've crashed it before, a couple of minor scuffles, a couple of, you know, crashes while I'm landing. I hit a palm tree once. You know, I've crashed this thing. I've had it for almost 2 years. You end up running into some shit. But this was bad. This is the first time it actually ever really wigged out and looked like a dying insect. So I brought it home, and immediately I took out the 4 million screws, the little hex screws that keep this thing together, and I took the top off and filled it with rice. It was the first thing I thought of. I did a bunch of, you know, obviously I Google searched and see what people were doing, and some people left it out in the sun, some people blow dried it, some people filled it with rice, some people had lots of ideas, and I was heartened by the fact that a lot of people were able to dry out their Phantoms and get them to fly again. So I filled this thing with basmati rice, and let it sit there. I stuck the GoPro in a bowl of rice. I stuck the gimbal in a bunch of rice, and just like prayed to the rice gods that this shit would work. I've never actually tried the rice trick on a cell phone or anything like that. It's always been kind of hearsay, and I've always thought it's kind of the goofiest. I love food solutions to robotic problems. You put your drone in rice. So anyway, I let it dry out for days. And as a side note, I've had a couple of questions about this Japanese character I have on my Phantom, and it's the same character that is on the back of the Street Fighter character, Kuma. Can you see that? Kind of. Anyway, so it's just some Street Fighter geekery. It means heaven. It means rest in peace. It means sky. It's a Kuma's, you know, it's a Kuma's victory character. Anyway, so heaven, sky. That's kind of my my interpretation. So I call her Sky. You know, because you got to name your vessels. So anyway, I let Sky take a rice bath, and then I fired it up, hooked it up to a battery, fired it up, and 3 of the 4 motors are fine, and this motor is totally screwed. This motor won't start. I mean, it's just dangling there. I mean, this is this really sad-looking Phantom, but this motor is the kicker. It's really what's keeping this in its sad state. So I've determined that I tried to take it apart, which only partially worked. I think there's some rust in there, there's some water. It's a nasty situation. So I've ordered a new motor, and it's on its way from Amazon. And the thing is, I don't know how well you can see this. I'm gonna have to solder this thing in there. I have 0 experience with a soldering iron. They're only like 20 bucks at Home Depot. I didn't even know how much they would be. I'm like, damn, I gotta like invest in some equipment. But no, the soldering iron's pretty cheap. You can get one for like $19. So I'm gonna learn how to solder this, a new motor. Maybe I'll make it another live vlog, catch the apartment on fire trying to repair this thing. So that's the state of my drone. It's pretty sad right now, but you know what? I have faith. It's bound to happen. I'm gonna get a soldering iron and try to repair it. I'm happy to report that not everybody died. The GoPro fired back up, but didn't record the file. Kind of bummed about that, so I can't post the crash. Oh well, and the gimbal is working just fine. This is a 2-axis, airy, brushless gimbal. I ordered off of helipals.com, H-E-L-I, pals.com. It was like $100, and it actually works really well. So I was really bummed at the prospect that I maybe destroyed it, because, you know, I think it works really good for a $100 gimbal. So I'm really stoked about this. And this came back to life. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I'm still waiting for my Phantom to come back to life. But that brings up the whole topic of crashing, how to avoid it. Is it going to happen? You know, one of my most popular videos on my YouTube channel is basically I talk about 5 crashes that I had, and I posted this right at the beginning, right when I first got my Phantom, and I was having, you know, just going through some growing pains, and That video almost has 100,000 hits. A lot of people have some very good advice to give me about what a noob I am and how I shouldn't be allowed with anything. anything electronic. You know, people like to hate on you if you make some mistakes, but my whole theory was to put my mistakes out there, say, hey, this is why I crashed, this is why I think I crashed. Whether or not I'm right or not, I'm at least just trying to put my theories out there. So I'll put a link, I'll put a little annotated box to that video. It's Phantom fail, 5 rookie mistakes. But what I learned is people really love to watch crash videos. They like to learn from them because crashing is something that's on the mind of every Phantom pilot, of every drone pilot. How do you not crash? What do you do if you crash? Let me tell you, I've crashed mine several times. This is the worst one. But if you're going to fly this thing, if you're going to fly, you can't be afraid to fall out of the sky because it could happen. It might happen. You might clip a branch. You might come in for a landing. And your shit's going to crash a little bit. So get used to the idea, you know, be safe about your pre-check, pre-flight procedures. Go through the routine, make sure your GPS is reset, make sure, you know, you're using good batteries that are fully charged, make sure you give it enough time to connect to the GPS, to the satellites if need be, and just go through your pre-flight rituals before you take off and start flying your drone through the air, and that will help alleviate some of the common problems I've seen some other people do. Is they turn that thing on, they crank it up, and they fly into the sky without checking the GPS, without letting it calibrate itself. And I think that's, you know, a little bit of patience goes a long way. That's going to avoid crashes. But I get asked if I use propeller guards, and I do, because they'll save your ass. On my most recent scuffle, my prop guard snapped, and so I ordered a new set. They're pretty cheap. They're like 15 or 20 bucks, and they really can save your ass. People have asked if it makes it heavier, if it reduces flight time. No, it's so light, it doesn't really matter. It attaches right on the end there, and what that does is it's not going to keep, you know, prying fingers from getting caught up in the propeller. It's not going to keep most of the branches and stuff. What it's going to do is it's going to keep you from bumping into, it's going to keep that spinning blade from bumping into something. So if I'm filming, for instance, I bought the prop guards, I put them on, and then I went to go film a big graffiti mural on this big, this big building. So I knew I could get really close to the artwork without having the propeller snap off because it hits the side of the wall. So I can kind of bump it. I wasn't trying to bump it, but it kind of gives me that little bit of scrape, that little bit of bump, like a little bumper car. So the prop guards are your friend. People ask me if I use them. I use them religiously because, you know what, they work. And for 15 bucks, this thing snapped off. That could have been another piece of my Phantom that would have taken the brunt of this impact. So prop guards, a must. Damn. Another question. Did you upgrade your props? What kind of propellers do you use? I use these very simple, you know, they're not the most expensive. They're not the self-tightening kind. I know people have problems with the propellers. Some people have problems with the propellers spinning off and flying off because they're not checking their nuts before flight. That's what she said. But I did upgrade to the fiberglass propellers here. I like them because they're a lot stiffer than, that's what she said. They're a lot more firm. They don't bend, and that gives you more lift. The propellers the Phantom 1 came with have a little bit of flex to them, so I feel like that doesn't give you quite as much lift and power, and it drains your battery just that little bit. So yes, I did upgrade my propellers to the fiberglass props again. Maybe $20, $25 investment. It's good to go. You know. If I'm flying this thing out in the park or at the beach or wherever I'm at, and some muggle or some casual user of everyday life that has no idea about drones in this world that I'm embroiled in comes up, and actually the first question that I almost always get asked is, where can you buy one of these things? Like you have to know somebody at NASA to get one of these things. But they say, oh my God, where did you get one of these things? Amazon, you can get one on Amazon, which seems to shock people, but yeah, basically anything you want is on Amazon. So you can get them on Amazon. The second question is, how much does it cost? When I bought mine, it was like $100. So you can get this very same one, probably used for $400. You can get a Vision 2 for about $800 or $900. You can get the most kind of deluxe model that they have out right now, as of this date, which would be September, 29th, 2014. All of this changes very quickly, but it's about $1,500, and that's with a camera, and that's with a very, very nice gimbal, a nice 3-axis gimbal, and a really nice high-quality camera that comes with the Phantom. I think that's the Phantom Vision 2 Plus. So yeah, my strategy is to get mine back up on the ground. I do want to upgrade to a Vision 2 Plus soon. I have a feeling that's going to be happening before 2015 or shortly thereafter. Really stoked about that. Any other drone related? Oh, right, totally. Some news this week. The FAA cracked the door open. Some of you might know that commercial drone piloting is a dubious gray legal area that is been in the news, been on the notes. If you're in the drone world, if you are operating in any way commercially, you know what I'm talking about. Basically, it's been a gray area ever since the commercial drone movement happened very, very quickly over the last few years. Like suddenly, bam! All of these unmanned aerial vehicles, all of these Phantoms, the Parrots, all the different kinds of quads are up in the sky taking photos, zooming around. This happened in the matter of just a few years. So the FAA, who regulate the skies of our great country, they have been very slow to keep up with these progressions and the spirit of the entrepreneurial spirit that a lot of us drone pilots have, and I think is a very, very good thing. Not to mention safety first. I do think there's a lot of cause to be concerned with safety, especially since these things can fly very, very high. But I think they've been really way too slow to address the entrepreneurial concerns of low-level drone pilots such as myself. And there are thousands of people like me out there that are doing small jobs or would like to do small jobs. And really, it's a gray area. It's a dubious area. And just a few months ago, a man very much like myself, who was doing some gigs around town, as it were, got slapped with a $10,000 fine from the FAA because they found out he made a video for a college. He filmed a college campus medical facility from the sky, probably for a promotional video or something like that. And they found out about it and they slapped him with a fine. Well, the judge threw that case out because they couldn't cite any concrete law that says that you can't do this. So it's a huge gray area, and they said that they're going to have the outline, basically whatever the guidelines, the program that you need to follow by September 2015 for commercial drone piloting. Now that's a long ways away, and that was a long ways away when I bought this thing 2 years ago. So a lot of people have exercised what I feel to be their free speech right of, if I can take a photograph from the ground standing here with my hands, why can't I take a photograph with my flying robot from 200 feet in the sky? If I'm not violating anybody else's rights, if I'm not flying over private property without permission, why can't I do that? So I kind of see it as a free speech situation. I totally understand that we are talking about airspace here, and that if you start going over 400 or 500 feet, you could legitimately put other aircraft in danger. I understand that completely. And this week, the FAA cracked the door on their ban for commercial drone use. In recent Hollywood movies that have employed drones for their filming, they've had to do those shoots overseas. Ridiculous, right? Movies like Skyfall, Transformers that utilize drone technology for their cinematics couldn't do it in America. How ridiculous is that? So the FAA cracked the door, squeaked the door open just a little bit on commercial drone piloting. They allowed 6 film companies in the United States to get permits for drone usage for their movies. Woo, 6 companies, huge victory here. And they're also, allowing other firms and companies, very, very small number of them, to operate their drone. This does absolutely nothing for people like you and me, obviously. I get asked a lot if I take jobs. I'm not saying I do. I'm not saying that I charge between $500 and $1,500 for an aerial media shoot that yields about 30 minutes of raw footage, and I can edit that down to a 2 to 3 minute video. I'm not saying I do that because that's technically not illegal, but it's technically not illegal. We found that. And you know what, the drone scene right now is kind of the wild, wild west. And what happened in the wild, wild west, it turned into just the West, to California. And the people that had the cojones to kind of put themselves on the line and make something of it, that's kind of how I see the aerial media field right now. It's the wild, wild west. And I'm respectful. I'm trying to be safe. I'm trying to cover my ass, but also I'm not waiting for the powers to be to cross their T's and dot their I's before I kind of get in there and claim my little bit of the drone media world. So that's kind of where I'm at with the dubious natures of the laws. I listen to my spidey senses. I don't fly around. Here's a couple of really hard and solid tips for you. Don't fly around government buildings, post offices, sheriff's offices, even certain parks, things like that. You'd think a post office, what's the big deal? It's government property. Do not fly your drone anywhere near anything like that. Don't fly it over schools. I gotta admit, when I first bought this thing, like within the first few weeks, I was flying it near the helipad of the West Hollywood Sheriff's Office, totally unbeknownst to me. I was at a park across the street, but now I'm thinking, dude, you idiot. You're flying it right near where they take off their helicopters from the sheriff's. It's a miracle that they didn't come and haul me off. So be really mindful of where you absolutely shouldn't fly it. National parks are a no-no now, which is a big bummer on the one hand. Yosemite was the first to come down. Yosemite came down with this spring. It said no drones, don't do it. Absolutely not. And then a lot of the other national parks followed suit very quickly thereafter. On the one hand, it's a big bummer because national parks are kind of one of the first places that you think of to go capture the aerial majesty of nature. But on the other hand, I totally understand that it interferes with people's nature viewing experience. Canyon, redwoods, and to have some dude with a robot making a racket because he's shooting with his GoPro kind of put a damper on things. So that's one thing I kind of a rule I made for myself actually before the national park said don't film here. I was doing a video for Brand USA, the United States Tourism Board, and I was visiting 4 national parks this May, and this was right before they put the kibosh on all national parks. But I made the conscious choice myself because the drones make noise, it's a distraction, and I just told myself that no, I'm not going to film the redwoods. I'm not going to film at the Grand Canyon, and I'm not going to film at Yosemite because it's a distraction to the enjoyment of my fellow guests. And I just feel like it's a matter of respect. It's a matter of not just respecting the guests, but respecting the nature and the wildlife. You know, filming at the Grand Canyon, I thought about flying my drone at the Grand Canyon, but I thought there's endangered California condors. There's low-flying helicopters taking tours. There's all sorts of reasons. There's updrafts coming off the cliffs that could knock my drone out of the way. There's all sorts of reasons not to do it, but really it's respecting the enjoyment. However, that said, if I'm at a state park, if I'm someplace out of the way and there's nobody around and it's safe and I feel like my spidey senses say it's a good place to fly, but if it's a big national park, a big monument like that, I don't even consider it. I'm not trying to go renegade like that. That's not cool. That's about all I have to say about the FAA, the rules, and all of that business. I really look forward to an advancement in that area. It's been so slow. I've done a variety of little gigs, but it'll be nice when this thing really opens up. For right now, I consider this practice. My last video, if you want to check it out on my channel, there is above Joshua Tree, and I was flying all around. This was a magical place to fly the drone. And it's only an hour and a half or 2.5 hours away from LA, so I'm going to get out there in the next week or so and film a little bit more footage out there because it's just so beautiful. Joshua Tree is just so amazing. I also want to get out to the Salton Sea and fly the drone around, get some aerial of America's biggest and greatest, probably least known ghost town, and Salvation Mountain right out there, that big concrete rainbow work of art that you may have seen in the movie Into the Wild. It's this really famous work of art out there. I want to film that with the drone, capture some aerial media of what that looks like. But hey, we're looking at about a half hour. That's what I was aiming for. I don't want to talk anybody's ear off too long. appreciate you hanging out with me, my little viewers here. I appreciate you chatting drone. If you have any questions about anything I said, leave it in the comments. Any drone questions, any questions about, what's up?
I just have to let you know that you need to give a little shout out to your sister. She's watching.
Oh, shout out to my sister.
Hi, Becca.
Rebecca Elizabeth Johnson.
Oh, don't give her full name.
Oh, Rebecca Johnson III. My sister, shout out to my sister, because she is not only the best looking of the siblings, she's the most intelligent and the hardest working. She makes me look like a total love, just a beast. Anyway, I love you, Beck. Love you all. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Leave any questions, observations, insults, and compliments in the comments below. Stopping broadcast in 5, 4,